Parish families, and welcome to week 2 of Rocky Railway Virtual Jesus Takeout. I'm so glad that you can join us again this week. My name is Mrs. Clark, and I am going to read to you our Bible story adventure for this week. Before we start our new story, let's review what happened last week. God had asked Ananias to visit Saul. Saul wasn't kind to Jesus' friends, and Ananias was afraid. But Jesus helped Ananias obey, even though it was hard. God changed Saul's heart. He had Ananias lay hands on him and baptize him. And Saul went from being Jesus' enemy to being Jesus' friend. People saw how Saul had changed and started calling him Paul instead. Have you ever thought about changing your name? And if you could, what would that name be? You might have to think hard about that one. If you want to share that with a family member at home, go ahead. You can do that now. Let's continue our story. After Paul became a friend of Jesus, he started telling everyone about Jesus' love. But there were still a lot of people who didn't like what Paul was saying. The Bible tells us that people put Paul in jail and sent him to see the king for a trial. That meant Paul had to go on a ship and sail to where the king lived. Let's climb aboard this virtual ship and find out what happened to Paul. At first, there were nice, gentle waves hitting the ship. But then a huge storm came, and the storm pushed the ship way out into the ocean, away from where they needed to go. It lasted for 14 long, scary, hopeless days. For 14 days, they didn't see the sun, the moon, or the stars, just clouds and wind and rain. Let's count out these days together and see what happened on each of those days. Day 1, no sun. Day 2, 3, and 4, still no sun and no moon. The sailors were so afraid, they thought the ship was going to sink and that they were all going to die. Day 5, 6, and 7, still no sun or moon, just clouds and rain. Day 8, 9, and 10. Still nothing but clouds and rain. They threw anything they could out into the water to make the ship lighter. Whew. Day 11, 12, 13, and 14. They still couldn't see anything but the terrible storm. The men were so busy trying to keep the ship from sinking that no one ate anything the whole time. Imagine 14 days, no eating. Oh, sounds so scary. They lost all hope. They didn't think they'd ever be home again, or safe. But then an angel came to Paul and told him that Jesus would protect them. Jesus' power, his grace within Paul, through Paul's baptism, gave Paul hope. And Paul trusted Jesus. Paul shared the hope with the other men on the ship. He told them Jesus had sent an angel who promised everyone they would be okay. The ship was going to sink, but everyone would make it to shore. So Paul told the sailors they should eat something so they'd have strength that they needed to swim to shore. Paul thanked Jesus for some bread, and he ate it. He gave some to the other men, and they all ate some and felt better. Jesus' power gave them hope. The next morning, they saw land. The ship couldn't get there, so the sailors had to swim there. When they got to shore, they counted to make sure everyone was there. Good, we're all here, said the men, and they were so happy that they had made it safely, just like Jesus had promised. Being in that storm must have been so scary for the men on the ship. But Paul knew someone who's more powerful than any storm, and that is Jesus. And Jesus' power gave him hope. Sometimes scary things and sad things happen for us. And we all have that grace and that love of Jesus. And we have to reach out for it like that and trust in Jesus and know that he has us always through all kinds of storms in our lives. Is there any time that you had to experience something sad or scary? I have. And I know that every time I feel that way, I reach out to God, to the Lord our God, and say, Jesus, I trust in you that you will help me. I hope you enjoyed this week's story. I can't wait what next week's story will bring. Don't forget to keep following all the links that you find in the emails. Have a great week. Thanks for stopping by.